Richie here with your Week 7 college football previews for the noon games. Jump right in. South Carolina, Georgia. South Carolina's coming off a bye. The last game was a 24-7 win over Kentucky. Team did 200-yard rushers. Tamian Feaster, 107, 2 touchdowns. Rico Dowdle, 102 and a touchdown. 247 rushing yards. 4 sacks by the defense. 2 turnovers and only allowed 212 yards of offense. Uga's coming off a 43-14 smackdown at Tennessee, although they were behind a little bit, 14-10 early. Jake Fromm, very efficient, 24, 29, 288, 2 touchdowns, 526 total yards of offense. The defense had 3 sacks, 2 turnovers, and a fumble return for a touchdown. This is the kind of game like South Carolina, maybe they can get their running game going. If Helinski cannot play like a freshman, maybe there's an upset, but kind of doubt it. I think Georgia probably, maybe it's close for like a half, but I think Georgia should win. All right, one of the best games of the day, the Red River rivalry, a shootout that I'm looking forward to. A lot to say about this. Oklahoma, they beat Kansas 45-20. Jalen Hurts, 228 passing, 2 touchdowns. Did throw his first interception of the year. Added 56 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Ramondre Stevenson, 109 rushing, 1 touchdown, 545 total yards. Their defense had 3 sacks, but did allow 360 yards to Kansas, including Puka Williams Jr. for Kansas, who ran for 137 yards. And so it shows their defense can give up some stuff, and Texas has a good offense. But on the flip side, Texas beat West Virginia in a pretty close game. It's 42-31, or it was actually closer than that. And the Texas defense had 4 interceptions. So if they don't get those 4 interceptions, West Virginia might have won, or maybe even blown them out. Who knows? Ellinger was so-so, 18-33, 211, 2 touchdowns, a pick, added 45 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. They have their starting running back, Keontae Ingram, is hurt. They had their backup quarterback come in, Roshan Johnson, at running back. Although he did play well, he ran for 121. Their defense did force the 4 turnovers, like I said. However, they were actually outgained by West Virginia, 463 yards. They allowed 463 yards. I expect this game to be a high-scoring shootout. First to like 55 might win. I'm going to give the edge to Oklahoma here, only because, yes, they gave up a lot of yards, but they were still able to put them away, whereas Texas had the turnovers and could have put them away, but still only won by 11, and it was back and forth pretty much early on, and the picks allowed them to kind of get a lead they could hold. But I'm going to go Oklahoma here. All right, Michigan, Illinois. Both these offenses are terrible. Michigan, they beat a good Iowa defense, but 10-3. They only had 267 total yards of offense. I didn't even bother writing down the names for this shit. Like, the defense was great, though. 8 sacks in the game, 4 turnovers, which allowed them to win. Again, if they didn't force the 4 turnovers, they might have gotten blown out, which I kind of thought they would get blown out going in, but the 4 turnovers and the 8 sacks saved them. Whereas Illinois lost 40-17 in Minnesota. They only had 248 yards of offense. In fact, the 2 touchdowns they scored were by their defense. Their defense had a pick 6 and a fumble return for a touchdown. They gave up like 300-plus yards running to Minnesota. I think Michigan should win this game. Illinois' quarterback might be hurt, but Michigan's just on talent alone. They should win it, but even still, it might be close because they both kind of suck. Memphis Temple, a really interesting All-American Athletic Conference game. Memphis just got ranked. They're 5-0. Temple, though, is 4-1. Memphis beat Louisiana Monroe last week 52-33. It's the kind of game I thought it would be. I said it might be high scoring. ULM might be able to stick with them, and they were only down 39-33 at one point in the game. Brady White, 249 passing, 3 touchdowns a pick. Kenneth Gamo ran for 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. They had 535 yards of offense, and they did turn over twice. However, the defense had a pick 6 and actually allowed 575 yards to ULM. Whereas Temple beat ECU 27-17. Ramon Davis ran for 157 and a touchdown. They ran for 237, which they might need to get going to keep Memphis' offense off the field. They had 200-yard receivers. Brandon Mack, 9 catches, 107. Isaiah Wright, 9 catches, 104, and a touchdown. Their defense had 3 sacks. However, Temple did have 12 penalties in the game. So for them to win, they have to cut down on the penalties. They got to keep force some turnovers, obviously, keep Memphis' offense off the field. I'm going to go Memphis in this game, but this actually should be an interesting one, and I'm going to see upset alert for sure for Memphis. Maryland, Purdue. This one probably shouldn't be very close. Unfortunately, Purdue, Elijah Sindelar, their quarterback, still out. Rondo Moore, one of the best players in the country, he's out hurt. Purdue lost 35-7 to Penn State. Jack Plummer was 13-27, 119 and a touchdown. They had minus 19 rushing yards because they were sacked 10 times. And in college, they count the sacks towards your rushing stats. The sacks towards your rushing stats. So they had minus 19. They allowed 10 sacks. They only had 104 total yards of offense. Their defense actually did force 3 turnovers against Penn State. So for them to have any chance against Maryland, they're going to have to do that. Whereas Maryland's coming off, you always make things right against Rutgers, right? They won 48-7. They had 2 80-yard touchdowns and a 100-yard kick return for a touchdown. They had 490 total yards. Josh Jackson was hurt, but Tyler Pigrome, he's got a lot of experience and should be able to run this offense pretty well. Defense had 3 sacks and 2 turnovers. I think Maryland gets right here and gets right big. Or stays right, I guess. Mississippi State against Tennessee. Mississippi State's coming off a bye week. Their last game was a loss to Auburn, 56-23. Freshman Garrett Schrader. His stats were fine, 209, 2 passing touchdowns, 89 rushing yards, and a touchdown, but a lot of that was late trying to come back. Their defense did force 3 turnovers against Auburn, though, whereas Tennessee's pretty bad. They had a 14-10 lead at one point against Georgia, but they lost 43-14. Brian Moore in his first start was okay, 259, 2 touchdowns and a pick. They had 200-yard receivers. Jawan Jennings, 7 catches, 114 and a touchdown, and Marquez Callaway, 3 catches, 105 and a touchdown. They did have 2 turnovers on offense. Now Mississippi State is they're not like world beaters. So in Tennessee, showed they can at least keep with a good team for a little bit. They're going to need some more in this game. They're going to need more turnovers. I'm going to go Mississippi State here. Rutgers, Indiana. Indiana's coming off a bye week. Their last game was a loss to Michigan State. They lost 40-31, but it was actually closer than that. They tied it late, 31-all. Michigan State got a late score to go up 34-31, and then when Indiana, with 5 seconds left, was trying to do a bunch of laterals, Michigan State scored a touchdown on it with no time left. So it's actually a lot closer than that 9-point loss. Michael Penix, 286 passing, 3 touchdown passes, and a touchdown run. Walt Phillier went off, 14 catches, 142 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think they roll all over Rutgers. Rutgers lost 48-7 to Maryland. Even their kicker was 0 for 2. They have a new coach. They fired their coach. It's terrible. I got Indiana here. All right, Miami of Ohio and Western Michigan. Miami of Ohio is coming off a bye, but their week before they beat Buffalo 34-20. They're actually down in that game at one point. I think 17-3 or something. Jalen Bester ran for 107 yards and a touchdown. They were actually outgained by Buffalo 398 yards to 265, but their defense forced 4 turnovers and a pick 6 and allowed them to win. Western Michigan lost a close game, which I figured it would be, to Toledo, 31-24. John Washington, 303 passing, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Sky Moore, 7 catches, 101. They did put up 420 total yards, and their defense had 3 sacks, 2 turnovers, but did allow 475 total yards. I think Western Michigan bounces back here and should win. Maybe pretty easily, but should at least win. Toledo against Bowling Green. Toledo just had the win against Western Michigan. They won 31-24. Mitchell Guadani, 200 passing yards, 2 touchdowns a pick, 39 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Bryant Kovac ran for 177. Bryce Mitchell, 4 catches, 119 and a touchdown, 475 total yards. Defense had 5 sacks. Bowling Green is terrible. They lost 52-0 to Notre Dame. They only had 228 total yards. They gave up 573. Blah, blah, blah. Toledo blows them out. Georgia Tech, shit team against Duke. Duke's pretty good team. Coming off kind of a heartbreaking lot. They were down 26-3 with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter to Pitt. They came all the way back to take a lead 30-26 with a minute 30 left, which was too much time. And Pitt ended up winning 33-30. Quentin Harris, though, 18 of 43, 165, 1 touchdown. Did throw 2 interceptions, which ended up costing them. He added 39 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns there. He had 6 turnovers in the game and a 3-point loss. That was pretty much it. The defense did have 3 sacks and did force 4 turnovers. Where Georgia Tech is coming off a 38-22 loss to North Carolina, James Graham made his first start. He was okay, 11 of 24, 171, 2 touchdowns to pick. For a first start, it's kind of what you would expect. They did run for 150 yards. They had 2 turnovers, but they gave up 587 yards. So for them I mean, Duke's not a world beater either, but Duke is good. Georgia Tech, for them to stay in it, I think they're going to have to force 6 turnovers again against Duke. And even then, Duke only lost by 3 in that game. So I think Duke, if they play like Duke is capable of playing, Duke should win that one pretty easily. All right, Ball State and Eastern Michigan. I don't know what the hell to think about this game. Ball State, they were down 17-3 to Northern Illinois. Drew Plitt, who's number 8, they had the number 8 passing team in the country, but he was only 4 of 14 for 34 yards and an interception. However, Caleb Huntley ran for 157 and 2 touchdowns. They ran for 235 as a team. Their defense forced 3 turnovers, and they came all the way back to beat Northern Illinois 27-20. Flip side, Eastern Michigan got killed by Central Michigan 42-16. Mike Glasgow passed for 207, a touchdown, a pick, added a rushing touchdown. Their defense forced 2 turnovers, but gave up 587 yards. In my head, I'm still kind of leading Eastern Michigan. But Ball State, even without being able to pass worth a damn, beat Northern Illinois, who's normally a good MAC team. In fact, I think they won the MAC last season, the whole conference. So this game, I think, could be close. It could be high scoring. I'm just going to go with the gray field at Eastern Michigan and hope I win that. So next game, Old Dominion, Marshall. Old Dominion, terrible. They lost 20-3 to Western Kentucky, only had 163 total yards. Whereas Marshall, they did lose 24-13 to a pretty decent Middle Tennessee State team. However, Isaiah Green, 365 passing yards and a touchdown. They put up 578 total yards, but they lost because they had 4 turnovers, and that's pretty much it. I think Marshall should blow Old Dominion out. All right, the final game for the new ones, I think a possible shootout here in New Mexico State. Did lose 20-13 at Liberty. Josh Atkins, 265 passing, 2 picks. They outgained actually Liberty 396-334, but they turned it over 3 times. Their defense had 4 sacks, where Central Michigan killed Eastern Michigan 42-16. David Moore, former Memphis quarterback, transferred in, 279 passing, 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Ward ran for 132 and 2 touchdowns. They ran for 308 yards as a team. Khalil Pimpleton, 5 catches, 112 and a touchdown. Their defense had 5 sacks. This could be a shootout. I'm going to go Central Michigan here. Whether they win in a close shootout or they blow them out. I mean, I think Central Michigan puts up 40 either way in this game at least. But those are my picks and previews for the noon games. Come back for some awesome games at 3:30. Alabama, Texas A&M, Florida State, Clemson, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Washington State, Arizona State, Cincinnati, Houston. Fucking more awesome games than I thought they were, damn. Alright, those are my noon games. Like, subscribe. Noon games. Like, subscribe. Ask me questions. Leave comments. Do whatever. Share these videos, please. Peace.